Accomplishments. He's three division undisputed. Moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure.
This may be the last time we see our legend, the greatest fighter of this generation. I told y'all back then that Bud would beat Floyd Mayweather. Y'all didn't believe me.
He could do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it, what for what? Terence Crawford, we know what you are.
Boxing experts are calling Terence Crawford the greatest of all time after his stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. They point to his rare ability to move up weight classes and still dominate, proving a level of greatness few have reached. Robert Garcia supported this view, saying Crawford has accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather in this area, noting how he won nearly every round with a drive that Canelo couldn't match. Garcia also emphasized that Mayweather never took on such a challenge, making Crawford's achievement stand out even more in boxing history.
Has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised at how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed. Moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes.
Greg Hackett pushed back hard against claims that Terence Crawford needs another big fight to prove himself, especially after Turki Alshik suggested a matchup with David Benavidez. Hackett argued that Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez was more than enough to secure his place in history, calling it a career-defining moment that few thought possible. He highlighted how Crawford jumped from welterweight to super middleweight and beat one of the era's most respected champions in convincing fashion, something unprecedented in boxing. For Hackett, this victory alone cements Crawford's legacy, and he doesn't need Benavidez or anyone else to validate what he's already achieved. Sometimes, Hackett said, one fight tells the whole story, and Crawford's triumph over Canelo is that story.
Effect, like, all right, you jumped over 3 buses. Let's say if you could do 10 buses. You know what I'm saying? He trying to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175. And, you know, I believe Benavidez has some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68 and he was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud care about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like, some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights that started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't see that fight. There's no point. There's no point. Like I said, Bud need to just go get a line of suits. You know what I'm saying? Get ready to just start talking about this shit.
What kind of suits, though?
I don't know. I don't know what's the best suits right now.
Showbiz called Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez one of the most extraordinary moments in recent boxing history, highlighting how he rose step by step from welterweight to middleweight and finally to 168 pounds with perfect preparation and execution. He explained that this was no lucky break but the result of a carefully planned journey that built toward this ultimate test, where Crawford appeared at his absolute best, sharp, polished, and ready. In Showbiz's view, this fight alone settled every debate about Crawford's place in the sport, as his dominance over Canelo displayed everything that defines a true legend. He concluded that Crawford has already proven enough, and no further challenges are needed to confirm his status at the very top of boxing.
Thoroughly just knew there was no way Terence Bud Crawford beat Saul Canelo Alvarez at 168. Canelo Alvarez was the super middleweight undisputed champion and younger. Terence Crawford was 26 at lightweight. Canelo Alvarez at 26, what was he, a middleweight? Terence Bud Crawford just grew to 154 at 36 years old. Canelo hasn't been able to make 154 since he was a baby. Terence Bud Crawford jumped up from welterweight to super middleweight to beat one of the greatest fighters of all time, to become 3-time undisputed in 3 different weight classes. Enough said.
Enough said.
It shed light on his victory against Errol the Truth Spence. That is for damn sure. Just the way he dominated him. Errol Spence was in there like, what the? If Canelo is saying there wasn't shit I can do in there, Errol Spence had to have been in there like, holy shit. It brings light to his resume. Everybody ducked him. We kind of knew that Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao avoid Terence Crawford. I can't say Manny Pacquiao avoided Terence Crawford, but Bob Arum definitely did. PBC, welterweights in the PBC all avoided him. I am here to give credit to Terence Crawford for being one of the most ducked fighters in history. So you cannot any longer blame his resume, his greatness, and look at his resume when we all know, genuinely, we have to be genuine, that he is one of the most ducked fighters of all time, like Bob Foster, like Black Murderers Row, Charlie Burley and Eddie Booker and all those guys. Listen, Terence Crawford by himself is Black Murderers Row of this era. Now, do I need Terence Bud Crawford to continue fighting? Hell no. For what? If you beat Terence Crawford now, what you want him to strip down to 160, lose that muscle mass he has, and be a little bit... We saw that with Roy Jones Jr., but he can do it. He's the everything man. He can do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it... What for what?
Tim Bradley has always stood by Terence Crawford's greatness, and after this fight, he felt completely justified. He reminded everyone that he had long called Crawford the baddest man on earth, and the way Crawford dismantled Canelo Alvarez proved his point. Bradley noted how critics doubted Crawford's size at higher weights, yet he didn't just compete, he dominated with surprising ease. To him, Crawford's performance looked effortless, almost like a sparring session against one of boxing's most dangerous punchers. Bradley believes this win elevates Crawford beyond most champions, even drawing favorable comparisons to Floyd Mayweather. He argued that Crawford's name must now be placed at the top when discussing the greatest fighters ever. For Bradley, this victory was more than just beating Canelo. It was about redefining pound-for-pound supremacy and proving Crawford may be the best the sport has ever seen.
Terence Bud Crawford, the baddest man on the planet. Y'all saying, no, he too small, Tim. He too small. Man, that was easy. That was easy. That was more easy than I thought. Terence said he was gonna have them crying, and he had them crying when they was walking out. Oh, they was crying. Oh yeah, they were damn crying. They was upset, head was down. They couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Oh yeah, boxing performance. I told y'all this was gonna be one of the greatest boxing performances of all times. I told y'all. Y'all didn't believe me. Oh, Tim, you over here, you riding Crawford. You riding him like he God. You riding him like he invincible, all this stuff. You don't see that greatness now? You don't see that greatness. Yeah, hey, go ahead and hop on the train. It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Luke Thomas called Terence Crawford a true boxing genius, noting how he made Canelo Alvarez, one of the most skilled and decorated champions of modern boxing, look ordinary. He compared it to Crawford's earlier win over Ricky Burns, but on a far bigger and more historic stage. Thomas stressed that Canelo is no simple opponent, yet Crawford broke him down with precision, flawless timing, and the ability to anticipate every move. The brilliance, he said, wasn't just in the victory but in the way Crawford completely neutralized Canelo's usual weapons. He described it as a masterclass that stunned analysts because of how effortless it appeared. For Thomas, the fact that Crawford could dismantle a fighter of Canelo's caliber so convincingly proves he is one of the greatest tactical minds boxing has ever seen.
Wasn't working. Or they were like, threatened in some kind of way. It was fucking Canelo. Canelo had some good punches in this fight. I thought early on that left hook to the body, which he got away from in the middle parts of the fight, got back to it a little bit at the end. But again, he was catching and shooting was a big part of why that went away. Bud was like, bop, catching him for it. Several times he hit him with that. Canelo had a decent jab at times. That right hand was able to catch Bud cleanly a couple of times, but not really. Bud's face looked normal, fine. You would never have known he went 12 rounds. Remarkable. Remarkable beyond words, man. Remarkable. That is so, I fucking hope and pray that everyone who is I don't know what the casuals are going to say. I really don't. But for the real fight fans, the ones who are probably watching the stream, I hope you appreciate what you just took a look at. Daring to be great. Daring to do what people just basically, people have unified, or I should say, gone undisputed in 3-weight classes before, but it's exceedingly rare, right? And to go up such a fucking jump. And let's go over one more thing if we can here for just a moment. One of the things that Bud has been trying to argue is that the boxing establishment has overlooked him. He was never their darling. He was never the guy that they picked. He was never the one that they chose ahead of time. And we're like, we're going to anoint you as our figure. He was never that guy, that was not him. And beating Spence got him a pretty far away in terms of changing attitudes, but Canelo was the big one. Because Canelo was that guy. Now, Canelo, of course, earned everything he's gotten too. That's not the point. But what I'm trying to say is Canelo was the promotional darling. Hello, the face of boxing. You know what I mean? And not just the face of boxing in this country, the face of boxing in another country. Dude, this motherfucker was the face of boxing worldwide, but in particular in North America, right? And something of a promotional darling, and always the A side, and this, that, and the other. And that was not Crawford's journey, man. That was not Crawford's, he was fighting the Ricky Burns of the world. That was not his trajectory.
Aid Oladipo took a practical view of Crawford's win, saying the champion has already accomplished everything from dominating multiple divisions to beating one of boxing's biggest names in Canelo Alvarez. For that reason, he doesn't see a rematch happening, as Canelo no longer looks like someone who should face Crawford again. Oladipo suggested that Canelo may be at the end of his run at the elite level, and pushing for another fight between the two would do little to benefit the sport.
The perfect opponent. Benavidez is the complete opposite. Benavidez is massive for 168 pounds, hence why the 175 jump isn't even a jump. It's normal for him. And he's coming not at the end of his career, he's coming into the peak of his career. So, I don't know, man. If Crawford were to take that one, geez, I mean, this guy's got balls of steel. Balls of steel. Is that financially the biggest fight out there for him? Probably. Especially if Benavidez puts a beating on Yard. I mean, you sell it more. It's another crossover Mexican-American, African-American. Those things always sell well.
However, Oladipo acknowledged that David Benavidez is still a huge and dangerous threat, even bigger than Canelo, and could be the type of challenge Crawford might consider if he wanted to keep proving himself. Still, he leaned toward the belief that Crawford has already secured his legacy, and while a fight with Benavidez would be massive, it isn't required to confirm Crawford's greatness.
Wrong against Crawford. I don't know if there was a rematch clause in that fight. I guess there probably would have been. I mean, if you are undisputed at 168 pounds, I think you'd be stupid not to put a rematch clause in there. So look, he might go back to the drawing board, go back to his camp and say, can we beat Crawford? Like, have an honest conversation with Eddie Reynoso and the other trainers in that camp and say, can we beat him? And if we can, where did we go wrong? Can we fix it in time to get in the ring with him again in 7 or 8 months? And if Eddie says no, then there has to be a real conversation of, okay, what's the point then? What's the point? What else is out there? Like, it's been so long that Canelo's not fought for a world title. It's even weird for me to even think about Canelo fighting and it not being for a world title.
One analyst highlighted the technical brilliance of Crawford's performance, explaining that it wasn't only about the win, but the way he executed it. Crawford's footwork was smooth yet deliberate, letting him dictate the pace from the very start. By using sharp angles, he kept Canelo off balance and limited his ability to land effective combinations. His jab, delivered with perfect timing, proved to be a key weapon, breaking Canelo's rhythm and opening the door for precise counter shots.
Really surprised a lot of people, but in the same time, the pivots, the angles, he really didn't just move all the way around the ring. I think he did almost anything that he wanted to do in there, right? Yeah, there was lots of rounds that were like in the bank early, so he didn't really, mix it up. But there was certain points in the fight that he was trying to get Canelo out of there. And wow, it was amazing to see, what all these other guys were able to do with Canelo. And Terence Crawford does something completely different. Beats him way better than Mayweather ever did. Beats him way better than Bivol ever did. He took his soul in the ring. He had no idea what to do.
Every action Crawford took appeared intentional, designed to break down Canelo's game plan. The analyst noted that few expected such a dominant showing, especially with the size and power gap between the two. Yet Crawford proved that sharp fundamentals and ring intelligence can neutralize even the toughest challenges. For that reason, the analyst concluded this was more than a victory. It was a performance that will be remembered and studied as one of boxing's finest displays of technical brilliance.
On point, he was seeing shots come. And one of the biggest factors I said, listen, the way Terence Crawford catches his shots on the glove is top tier. And I was really nervous at the fact that, how is his body frame going to be able to, take it? And when he caught some of those shots and he was so planted, Canelo moved after his shot versus him. And I said, uh-oh. Terence Crawford's like a tree trunk when it comes to catching some of these shots. He's very prepared, and you don't even know how, calm and collective you need to be able to take, catch those shots. So salute to Terence Crawford. I think that Canelo Alvarez didn't even win a round, man. It was that much of a
whooping.
That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.